In this episode of PBP Tips, I'd like to talk about lodging and where you're going to stay before and after the ride. So lodging is an important part of your plan for PBP. There are a couple of important things to think about. One is you're going to need to find a place to stay right before the ride that puts you reasonably close to the start.
Hotel.
So in terms of lodging, the first thing you need to think about is where you're going to stay before the ride. You need to find a place reasonably close to the start so that you're not having to put your bike on a train early in the morning or late at night, and you have a place to keep your bike and whatever stuff you need that's going to be on the bike or carried on yourself for that last bit of sleep before you go to the start and head out.
Hotel.
In years past, that's all happened mostly in the start town. It's going to be a little more difficult this year because the new start town of Rambouillet is a little farther out. It's not as close to the urban area, so you don't have as many places around it to stay. I've stayed, for instance, at the next train stop out from the start town. Did that once. Had about a 2-mile ride to the start, which wasn't too bad. Because of starting in Rambouillet, your options, as I said, are fairly limited, so you'll need to look for hotels. Hopefully those don't book up too quickly. There's a fair number of places on Airbnb. I've been checking that out, and you can find actually some really good deals.
Hotel.
You need to think about where you're going to put all your stuff during the ride. Now, if you're going over there, for instance, like I do, basically just myself, you need to find some place to put all that stuff. You've got a bike box probably, you've got your luggage and so on. Now, what I've done the last 2 editions is I found very inexpensive lodging. Last edition in 2015, I stayed at an Airbnb place in Paris. Year before that, I found a very inexpensive hotel fairly near the start, and then borrowed a room in the start town the night of. And I was able, in both those cases then, to leave all my stuff there. And it was well worth it, not having to pack up everything and put it away and so on. So then, you've taken care of that. You need a place to stay at the end. So if you're able to find lodging reasonably close to the start, you can just leave all your stuff there. It'll be there waiting for you at the finish, and you'll be able to ride there, shower, and then probably stumble someplace to find something to eat. One thing that's been a bit of a pain in years past, again, especially for the Americans who tended to take over the Campanile Hotel at the old start town. So you have an entire hotel full of cyclists, and they would make you put your bicycle in a very crowded room with everybody else's bicycle. It was a huge hassle. Bikes got scraped up. If you got there early, your bike was against the wall and you wanted to go for a ride, you had to move half a dozen bikes to get to it. It was a pain, a real pain.
Hotel.
So one piece of advice, if you're looking at a hotel that you're going to stay at before or after the ride, ask about their bike policy and whether you're going to be able to keep it in the room or somewhere else, if they're going to have a central location for all the bikes. Again, because Rambouillet is a new start town, the hotels, etc. there aren't going to be familiar with what this ride is all about. They may be overwhelmed. They may not know what to do. They may not be as kind of automatically bike friendly as the places in Saint-Quentin have been. So just a word to the wise, make sure that your hotel knows that you're coming with a bike. Ask them where you can keep it and whether it's going to be all right to leave it there in the room before the ride, and if they're going to have a place for you to leave your stuff during the ride. Most places will do that for you. Even after you've checked out, they'll hold on to bags for you. But just make sure of that. Make sure you know what you're getting into. The fewer surprises once you get to France, the better, definitely.
Hotel.
I would recommend, sooner than later, starting to look at those three things. Where you're going to stay before the ride, where you're going to put your stuff during the ride, and where you're going to stay after the ride. And give yourself at least a day after the ride, because you're probably going to be tired and not wanting to all of a sudden pick all your stuff up and move it to a new location. So that's my PBP tip for today. See you on the road for the next one. Lots of things to go over. Drop bags, unexpected things that you'll find happening over in France. Lots of topics and lots more to talk about before PBP 2019. See ya. So a quick addendum to what I just talked about on the bike. Obviously lodging is a bigger topic than just those issues right around before, during, and after the ride, but I wanted to focus on that for this series of videos. Where you stay before coming to the start town, where you go after the ride, because I'm assuming that you'll probably want to go over to France for a little longer than just showing up for the ride, doing it, and then heading home right after. That's a much bigger topic, and there's lots of advice out there on where to stay. In terms of just the overall lodging situation, as you probably know if you're a member of Randonneurs USA, the company that had been handling all that in years past is not doing it in 2019. There's a new company. They will probably do the same thing that the old company did. They'll make your plane reservations for you. They'll get you set up in a hotel in the start town. They will handle getting the bike boxes from the airport to the hotel. They do the drop bag service. There's a lot of things there that are very helpful, especially if it's your first time doing PBP and you're not familiar with all those logistics of getting all that stuff over to France and getting it in the right place at the right time. If they do a drop bag service again in 2019, I definitely suggest that you take advantage of that. I'm going to do a whole video on just that whole drop bag situation, what to put in it and so on, so watch for that. And with that, I will finally end this video. Thank you for watching. Thanks for all the comments you've been sending in the comment section down below. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I'll respond to them. Plenty more videos to come, so subscribe if you haven't already. And with that, I will see you on the road next time. Bye.